This is everything you need to know about mangoes, and if you stay with me till the end, I'm gonna show you the very best mangoes you can grow at home in a pot, and yes, you're gonna get a lot of mangoes. Did you know there are over 1,000 different kinds of mangoes? Each different kind unlocking flavors. They're so good, it's hard to describe. Imagine a world where every mango offers a new mouth-watering adventure that tantalizes your senses and restores your soul. All right. Enough with the movie stuff. From soccer ball-sized round mangoes to long, thin ones, and every shape in between. Did you know mangoes are related to poison ivy, poison sumac, cashews, and pistachios? That's why some people get the itchy lips when eating this delicious fruit. It's because of this compound called urushiol is in the sap and the skin of mangoes. But don't worry, for most of us, they're just delightfully sweet. If you are particularly sensitive, all you gotta do, wear some gloves, remove the skin, cut it into small pieces so you're not getting the mango all over your lips, and you should be good to go. Mangoes can grow without any human intervention in hot tropical climates, but they cannot grow in cold climates where it freezes. They can't survive the winters because they don't put their sap back into the roots like most fruit trees. And when the freeze hits and it gets below 32 degrees, water starts to expand. And when the water expands, it bursts the plant. So yeah, do not grow mangoes in the ground someplace cold, but you can grow them in a pot and you can make them a beautiful house plant for the winter. These big green leaves aren't just for show either. You can brew them into a healthy, refreshing tea. The lighter the leaves, is this safe? The lighter the leaves, the better the flavor for your tea, of course. I wouldn't recommend just eating these, but they're not bad. Kind of chalky. These leaves contain mangifrin. Mangifrin has been shown to have huge health benefits. In animal studies, it was proven to lower blood sugar and improve insulin resistance. Cheers. Man, that's hot. Very good though, just slightly bitter. Now, if you use mature leaves, it's gonna be a lot more bitter. Mango leaves and mangifrin also have neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory, and skin health benefits. Check it out. King of the fruit world, for very good reason. Literally, the taproot on this tree can go down 25 feet down into the water table. So that's why it can survive droughts like a champ. Some mangoes tower over 100 feet tall, producing thousands and thousands of mango, and they grow for literally hundreds of years. Yeah, the mango. Mangoes are truly amazing, but chances are you've been missing out on their full potential. Most people grow mangoes from seeds, but what if I told you there was a better way? If you want supreme tasting, melt in your mouth mangoes without strings, take a mango seed, the biggest mango seed you can find from the biggest mango that you can eat. Grow it out. Then graft your favorite variety onto that rootstock. You're gonna get the best of both worlds, the strength and the vigor of the roots from the rootstock and your supreme elite genetics for the fruit. Grafted trees bear fruit immediately or within a couple of years compared to seeded trees that will produce within 7 to 10 years. So if you want to get fruit now, you have to grow grafted trees. Mangoes can be classified into 2 different flavor categories, bright and dark. Think cinnamon, clove for dark, lemon and citrus, vanilla for bright. Take, for example, the Alfonso mango, said to be one of the best mangoes in India grown commercially today. It has the spice-like flavors, but it's very, very sweet. In contrast to the lemon meringue mango that has a bright flavor that tastes like syrupy lemonade. There is literally a flavor profile for everyone when it comes to mangoes. One of my favorites, the lemon zest mango. Not quite as sweet as the lemon meringue mango. It's a bigger mango, but not too big, so you get a lot on the tree. The soft, velvety flesh practically melts in your mouth like ice cream. It has like 0 strings in it like most mangoes have. But probably the best thing about the lemon zest is that it's not overwhelmingly sweet like a lot of the other mangoes. Like take for example the Nam Doc Mai mango. That's the classic Asian mango. It's the dessert mango. It's what they put with ice cream and they make a lot of the drinks with because it's incredibly sweet, but you can only eat maybe 2 mangoes. So Asian varieties like the Nam Doc Mai are said to be the sweetest and have the least amount of fiber, and they also do best in humid environments. So for me being in Florida, this happens to be the best varieties that I've seen that actually do the best. So if you're in a humid environment, grow the Asian varieties. They're gonna be the long, skinny. They tend to have a little bit wider leaves and they do better in more humid and tropical and very wet areas compared to like say the Indian mangoes that tend to have thinner leaves like the pine trees because they don't need quite as much humidity in the air. That kind of goes for most plants. So check this out. The lemon meringue ripens in June while the lemon zest ripens in July. That's why you need a mango squad ripening at different times so you get mangoes all summer long. But if you're lucky enough to live by the equator, oh, you have it so good. You can get mangoes year round. I've heard some mangoes will flower and fruit 3 to 4 times a year. But here in the United States, you'd be lucky to get 2 harvests in 1 year. We have a mango from Asia called the Chakanan mango that will flower and give us fruit literally in the winter, in January, and of course in June, like most mangoes. Now it's important to note that some mangoes that grow really small mangoes will give you more mangoes per tree, and then the bigger mangoes you get less mangoes per tree. That's because the branches of the tree have to be able to hold all that fruit while it's getting blown in the wind and not snap. But if your goal is absolute yield of mangoes, then go with the lemon meringue. That's what I've found gives me the most amount of mangoes, and I've grown out a lot of mangoes. But just because you read that a mango is the best on Google doesn't mean it'll be the best mango for you and your environment, because mangoes are selective to where they were bred and where they are originally grown from, so they tend to be the best in that environment. And with great mangoes comes great responsibility. Protect your mangoes from critters and birds by bagging the fruit. Protect the fruit, don't lose any fruit. This will also help the fruit slowly ripen, which will give you a sweeter mango. But don't let your mango tree get too ambitious. Thin it out to 2 mangoes per small branch for the biggest, sweetest, juiciest fruit. And if you want to double your mango count per tree, tip your branches after you take off the fruit. This will literally double the amount of mangoes you get because more shoots equals more fruits. Plus, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to pick the fruit because you're keeping your tree bushy and compact instead of long and tall. We're gonna have to get a ladder to get the fruit. But if you do tip your mango, make sure that you go in every year and take out a few of the branches in the middle of the tree so you get air and light into the middle of the tree, because if you don't, you could get fungus problems because fungus loves wet, humid environments. So by taking that branch out, you let the air and the light in, and that UV rays hitting all the branches in there will keep the fungus from spreading. Trust me, when you taste a top shelf mango grown to perfection, you will never go back to those underwhelming imposters that you find at the store. Mangoes are like weeds. They'll grow in just about any soil. But if you want to get the most production and the sweetest and juiciest fruit, then you're going to want to go around the roots and put compost or any organic matter you can find, like loose leaves, sticks, wood chips, straw, hay, grass clippings. All that organic matter is going to break down and it's going to feed your plant's roots with all the macro and micronutrients. And you must water your trees every few days when they're in their main fruiting stage. So when they start flowering early spring, you want to start watering them a lot until you harvest your fruit. If you forget to water during that window, like say from February till June here in the United States, you're not going to get that much fruit. Or if you wondered why you didn't get that much fruit, it's because you didn't water them during that key time. Just like most plants, whenever they're fruiting, you have to hit them with the water. So how many mangoes should you expect per tree? Well, it depends on how mature and how strong the branches are, because that branch has to be able to hold all those mangoes and not snap and break. And you got to keep in mind that those mangoes could get 2 pounds if they're a bigger size mango. Generally speaking, wait about 5 years from whenever you planted your grafted mango before you judge how many mangoes or how good the mangoes are, because You gotta wait for them to get established, get their roots in the ground. And yes, you can grow a mango in pretty much most places in a pot. You're just gonna have to make sure that you make it a beautiful house plant for the winter. Because once again, mangoes cannot take a freeze. So once the temperature gets down to 40 degrees, bring your plant inside. So check this out. Here's a mango I planted 2 years ago, and here's that mango now. Mangoes grow really fast, especially if you water them a lot. But just remember, you have to let the soil dry in between waterings. I don't use synthetic fertilizers. I only use natural organic ingredients. I use natural bacteria and fungus that breaks down the organic matter and forms a symbiotic relationship with the plant's roots. Literally, as far as that fungus can grow is as far as it can gather nutrients to bring to your tree. So I always apply the mycorrhizal inoculant or the fungus spores directly to the roots when I plant. So as that tree grows out, it'll be ready to go. I make small mounds and I plant the trees slightly above ground level so that I make sure that they get enough oxygen around the roots and they won't rot out and die when they get older. And that also allows me to water more often, water more frequently to grow the plants faster. Now I know what you might be thinking, which is, why would I want to water more often? Well, if you want your trees to grow big and grow fast, then you're going to want your trees' roots to dry out more often so you can grow them faster. Then I call my local arborist and I ask them to deliver their waste tree trimmings to my property for free. I give them my address and they normally bring them within a couple weeks. But if you don't have arborists around you, then you can use any organic matter that you can find. If it's manure, if it's straw, if it's hay, just make sure you put it on thick so that way as it breaks down, it'll continue to feed your tree. Just don't put it directly on the stem of the tree so you don't rot out the tree. I watered between every day and every other day when the trees were young to get them established, when their roots hadn't grown into the surrounding soil, because it takes a few months for them to establish themselves. I watered my trees for 30 minutes at least every 3 days, sometimes every other day. But like I said, not all this is necessary to grow a mango. You can do nothing and they'll grow, but the difference is you could get a 6x multiplier on your investment of a little bit of soil amendments and watering your tree more often versus if you just do nothing, you might get a double or a 2x every year on your mangoes. But where you will notice the difference is how many mangoes you get. The mango that you pamper, you'll get, like I said, 6 times, maybe 10 times as many mangoes as a mango that you neglect and you plant it in sand. You're really watering the feeder roots because the feeder roots are the roots that go shallow. They pick up all the minerals and they work with the bacteria and the fungus, and that's ultimately what feeds your tree. So you still need to water if you want to get a lot of mangoes. So my question is, would you grow a mango? You know, in the very beginning of the world, in the Bible, it tells us that Eve tempted Adam with the forbidden fruit. What was this forbidden fruit? I think it was a mango.